Everyone always shows you the final video, but today I'm gonna show you what it's like behind the scenes. We're going behind the scenes to Jamie and Dan's wedding from Ocean City, New Jersey at Scarborough Inn. Jamie and Dan, they're very creatives, and I love that because we don't like cookie cutter wedding films here at Philly Wedding Films. We want to make sure we get your personality, we get the intertwines, and we know who you are, what you like, all those different kinds of things when we film your wedding. So Jamie's a creative herself. She said, Sean, I want to do my vows on the beach in the morning. I said, absolutely, because we're always trying to create an epic film. So we met up with Taylor, her daytime photographer. Jamie and Dan went down to the beach and exchanged their vows. 8 a.m. in the morning, coffee, they got their vows, they got the sand. One thing I loved about Taylor, their daytime photographer, was she said, hey, you have video, so make sure you're moving, you're walking, you're living and breathing, you're not so stiff and posed, and you actually allow the moment to happen and got some really good images, what you're seeing right here. I recorded some of this stuff real time, but I'm also gonna be watching this video with you to give you some play-by-play on everything that happened during the wedding day. Let's do it. So after they exchanged their vows, Jamie and Dan headed off to their respective bridal parties, or the bride squad, groom squad, and we separated with our two shooters. I met up with Jamie at Scarborough Inn, which is an amazing venue. If you're in the Ocean City, New Jersey area and you need a dope place to stay, Scarborough Inn is amazing. Make sure you ask for Snay, an amazing host. Showed us awesome hospitality the entire time we were there. But we went and got our gear, and let's jump right in. We're running with the RS2 for the gimbal, and I'm gonna put my camera, which is the Canon EOS R6, running a 15 to 35 millimeter lens, and we'll use that in order to get some footage of bride prep. Oh yeah, by the way, this is the part where you should hit that like and subscribe button. I'll wait. Cool, let's do it. So once we get the equipment ready, I worked my way upstairs through the amazing Scarborough Inn and knocked on the door before we went into the room with all the ladies. Make sure you always have boundaries and respect. That's a big thing, you know? Make sure you knock before you walk in the room. You know, don't just barge in, don't be the guy with the camera, because hey, however you set that atmosphere when you walk in is gonna be the tempo or the pace for the rest of the day. Introduce yourself, make sure everyone feels comfortable. That's what I do, at least. I mean, I can't tell you what to do, you're grown. After I got into the room, went over to Jamie and actually was excited because it was the first time we actually got to meet in person. Most of our meetings were over Zoom or online, so it was really exciting to see her. And then I asked for all the details. So it's gonna be the rings, it's gonna be bouquet, flowers, all those different kinds of things. For a lot of our videographers, your photographer may wanna set this shot up. It's totally fine. You know, if you have the creative edge, by all means, go ahead and lay it out. However you like. It's gonna be the ring shots, invitations, it's gonna be photos, save the dates, all that kind of stuff. So I'm laying out the rings here. Got the invitation, which was in this nice shadow box frame. Looked really cool. I'm just laying out ring boxes or, you know, replicating some things that I've tried out before. A lot of times I'll go through Pinterest and look at a lot of these layouts as well. So I'm just laying out the shoes here. And then we got some rose petals here, just to kind of add some textures. Always make sure it's a clean surface, preferably near a window. Window light is amazing. Sometimes we'll bring in some of our studio lights if the room is a little darker, if we have more time. But again, time is of the essence. And we're gonna shoot this in 4K at 60 frames per second. We're gonna shoot it at 60 frames per second because it's gonna be a slow-mo shot. Just so we can get that very smooth, cinematic look. We call these the butter shots or the butter compositions overall. And this is me biting my lip intensely, focusing so much. And then I got my wife Robin to sprinkle some of said rose petals from above, just so it falls in very much slow motion. After we get our detail shots, what we want to do is we want to make sure we get hair and makeup for bride prep. That's a big thing overall. You want to make sure you get the last touches of hair and makeup. You don't want to get bare faces and all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure everyone is camera ready, or at least as close to camera ready as possible when you're shooting them. So then that way they're in their most flattering form overall. So good shots that you like to get are like the hairspray, because you can see that kind of like in the wind overall. And then the touches up of makeup as well. It's always important to make sure you collaborate with your photographers, especially on those detail shots. Sometimes they can set it up for you and it's gonna look a lot better than if I were to do it personally. I mean, some of us are more talented than others, but collaborate and talk to your photographers. I promise we don't hate each other. We're always working together, just like we did with Taylor. You know, some kind of motion, some kind of movement always makes for better shots for both parties as well. Here we got some cuddle puddles going on from the photographer, just with the bride and her bridesmaids all on the bed. You want to make sure that you guys are living in the moment. Again, be vocal, don't be super quiet. Make sure you're talking, living in it, hanging out with each other and all that kind of stuff. It's going to make for better footage overall.
There you go. And release. Right, Jamie, last one. 2, 3, go. And then release. That was
A lot of that really good stuff that happens in your wedding film is going to come from those moments that happen during your first look, during your vows, or sometimes just at random moments when you can hear everything that's happening. The way that that happens is because of lavalier microphones that we put on the bride. We put it on the groom, we put it on the officiant. We try to put them on as many people as possible in your bridal party, so then that way when you guys are talking, we can actually incorporate that into your film. One thing that we hate is just putting on a song and letting, you know, a bunch of slow motion just happen. If we can have moments that happen in the course of your day where you're talking or you're expressing yourself, or hey, someone's coming and expressing themselves to you, their sentiments of love, their congratulations and all that kind of stuff, that's what's gonna separate your wedding film from being mediocre to being cinematic. You know, you can take a picture, pictures are great. I totally, you know, recommend you have a photographer, but think about grandma, grandpa, those folks that are gonna be around and actually talking to you on your wedding day. You know, 5, 6, 7 years from now, 10 years from now, your kids that aren't born yet are gonna be able to hear and be in those moments because of the microphones that are placed on you. So for our brides, most dresses are white. So we have a white cord that goes on the inside of the dress. We use a double-sided tape. It's invisible, clear tape, so if you have like see-through portions of your dress, you're totally fine. We go through the lining of your dress. Sometimes we follow the beading, all that kind of stuff. We get very intricate with this, but we put this on the dress before you put the dress on. And then what you do on your leg, we have a Velcro strap that you wrap around your leg. And then this clips onto the front as well. And then from there, we screw in the cord, so that way it doesn't come out. And this is gonna record throughout the course of the day. You don't have to worry about it going off, shutting off, or anything like that. So then that way, if something happens, it just happens, and we make sure we capture that audio. And it's super special. I always love that dads sometimes, in the course of their day, before they walk the bride down the aisle, they get this urge to just say that like one liner that just like wrecks a bride before she comes down the aisle. And you know, it could be, hey, I love you forever, or something like that. Like, that's always super special. And that's a moment that you'll cherish with your dad or whoever's walking you down the aisle, because it's the last time you're gonna be a bachelorette before you become a bride. So capturing that audio and living in that moment, chef's kiss every time. So we stepped out of the room for a while, and Jamie, our lovely bride, is getting into her wedding dress, and our photographer is making sure everything's tight. We have mom and stepmom that's gonna be buttoning Jamie into her dress, taking her time. I know a lot of times these dresses, they just have zippers and then they have fake buttons. Totally fine, just run your hands over it. Fake it till you make it, just make it look really good. Photographer is gonna get some shots next to the window. Remember, we always love natural light and being near windows. So we actually have both moms taking turns and buttoning the dress. We also have the bridesmaid in there as well. Room was really tight. This is a small area. We were adjusting the microphone as well again for Jamie here. Again, always ask before you touch. Hey Jamie, is it okay if I adjust your mic? Totally cool, do what you gotta do, make it work. Jamie was a boss. She's a boss bride, super dope. Putting jewelry on, earrings, all that kind of stuff, creating moments. This is always great stuff that's gonna make your wedding film that much better. And again, most of these shots are gonna be shot at 60 frames per second, so it's gonna be super slow-mo. So then that way we have the option in post if we wanna go back and forth between the two. And also remember to take turns with your photographers. Photographers will take turns with you as well. Make sure that we all get the shot together. All right, so here we got a bridesmaid. She's gonna be putting the veil on and we're getting shots of that as well. Taking our time, getting through all the stuff in order to get our bride set for the altar. This is a good time in order to have the microphone on. And then we have Larry, Jamie's dad, getting ready to come in for a first look. Sometimes we put the microphone on dad as well because those reactions are amazing. You wanna make sure you stage it up with your photographer as well, just so then that way, hey, you're gonna get angles as well. So then that way it all looks good. And these are things that we always talk about in our pre-prep as well to make sure that you know, we plan for this. It's in the schedule overall. The room was super small, so our bridesmaid, our maid of honor rather, she was super dope. She actually hid on the couch and we were all like hiding low in order to make sure we were invisible. These are one of those things where we set up the moment so then that way it happens naturally. But you know, we'll set it up so then that way it can happen and then we'll fade out and let it breathe. And Larry's reaction was great. You know, he was trying not to cry. It's okay to cry. If you're a dad and you're watching this, if you're a mom, if you're a bride, it's okay to cry. If you cry, it actually makes the video that much better. Waterworks has magic. There's magic in those tears and we want to make sure we capture it. You never know what you're gonna say. You never know what dad's gonna say. Anybody's gonna say. It's always super special. Hug, talk, all those things. You know, don't be afraid in order to pull back and let things happen. You don't have to overly control the situation because sometimes when you overly stage it, it becomes inauthentic or it becomes, you know, cookie cutter with the cheap violins. I love that, like even mom and stepmom, they're like peeking through the doors because it was a small room because they're excited and they want to see that. Those are things that are going to be great elements and become an epic part of your story. So we have first look with dad, we have moms that put on the veil, and then we have a reveal to your bride squad. Those are always fun. Word of caution though, as you're going through the course of your day, if you're working with flowers and things like that, make sure you get like a towel or something like that and you towel down the bottom of your bouquets. It's green, it's wet, you don't want to get it on your dress, so make sure you get a nice towel, dry it off, so then that way you don't have any accidents on your dress. It's super dope to have like your squad with you the entire day, but there's going to be some moments where you should take a moment with just your photographer, just your videographer, and you. So then that way you can get some good, pristine shots without distractions. You want to make sure you get some good stuff off your shot list. Hey, looking out of the window, you know, putting your rings on, your perfume, all those different kind of things. If you can do some of those things on your own, by all means do them on your own. But hey, it's okay to bring a friend in that's going to help with putting your shoes on, putting your veil on, putting your dress on. It's totally fine. But make sure if you can, get some one-on-one time. I love that at some point of the day you get to feel out your couple and you get to understand their personalities and who they are. And then you get to the part of, hey, it's not just business, but we actually build a connection and we're having fun together. I tell each and every one of my couples in consultation, when we get to your wedding day, think of me as one of your groomsmen, or if my wife is shooting, sometimes she's a bridesmaid. It's just that our cameras are nicer, but we're here in the moment with you. We're here to support you. We're here to have fun in order to make sure that you're having fun as well while you're doing this. And it's not so stern like, take this picture, take that picture, yada, yada, yada. We have to stay on schedule. That gets boring. Don't do that. Make sure you have fun. Make sure you're having a blast. Get to know the bridesmaid's name. Get to know the groomsman's name. And then that way, you know, you become a support and not just the fifth wheel, the sixth wheel, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th wheel of, you know, just being a lackey. Be present in the moment, be a part of the day, and I promise you the results will be 10 times more phenomenal. You know, I always say I'm a good peer pressure person on your wedding day in order to make sure that you're having a good time. So if you want to go crowd surfing, if you want to, take shots and all those different kinds of things, it's much better if we've already built that relationship versus just, hey, go do this really quick. Maybe not so much. But if you're there early, my name's Mike, my name's Joe, that's Jen, that's Abby. You understand their personalities and what they may be comfortable with, or even also asking some of the folks that are in the bridal party, hey, who's the party animal? Who's this? How did they meet? And you get into the intricate part of telling the story of the couple. 10 times better results every single time. All right, so other part of the day that's really important is groom prep. A lot of times you have the bride that's in the bride suite. She's got her bride squad. She's got champagne, mimosas, all this other kind of stuff. And time again, I see the groom get stuffed in a closet. That wasn't the case for Dan. Dan, he had a really nice spot. They had beers, they had drinks, they had a good time, which is really important because you want to make sure you show both personalities. The bride, she's gonna get glammed up, but hey, what's the groom gonna do? He's gonna put a suit on, he's hanging out with his guys, they're gonna throw back a few beers. Maybe you can go golfing. Maybe you guys can get in the back of the pickup truck. One of our grooms, Rick, this year, he had a nice 62 Camaro, I believe. He wanted to make sure he did his groom prep next to his car, pulled it out, did a few donuts, shredded some tires a little bit. It was really good because it was authentic to himself. As the groom's getting ready, key shots that we want to make sure we get are buttoning the cufflinks, making sure you're putting on your boutonnieres. They go on the left side if you're ever wondering. And then the best man or either the groom's father can help put on his jacket. Make sure you get a good shot of that. Handshakes, dapping it up, all that kind of stuff. But hey, if you like pool, play pool. Do something fun, do something that lives in the moment and hang out. There's not a lot of stuff that happens with the guys, but again, I just want to make sure guys are in a nice spot. You want to make sure you got like a nice window area that's clean and clear. You can tear up the rest of the space, but we just need a little clean area so then that way we can get some good shots for you before you get ready. This can be traumatic for some people because you may have been raised as a traditionalist, which is totally fine. If you want to do a first look, do a first look. Here's your benefit. You're going to get to enjoy your cocktail hour. You're going to get to have the time of your life, and you're actually going to put a lot of your emotions at ease. We had a bride earlier this year. The coin phrase is happy, not scared, because the entire time as we were leading up to the first look, she was hyperventilating. She was sweating. She's like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to feel in this moment. Get your first look out of the way, and then you get to enjoy the rest of the day and not stress out. Once we left Scarborough Inn, we headed over to the Ocean City Yacht Club, which was a fabulous venue. Looked amazing, had really awesome staff that really took care of us. Number one thing that we did before we got to our first look was we set up audio and we set up comms. If there's any downtime, you want to make sure you take advantage of that while everyone else is getting prepared. Don't always wait for the bride hand and foot while she's getting ready. Once you have your shots, book it out of there, get to the venue, get set up as soon as possible. So we got to the DJ who was already there setting up for the ceremony and the reception. We plugged in our recorder, set it up and made sure we had good levels, make sure we tested it as well. We have microphones on the bride and groom, but we also want to have redundancies that are in place as well because you never know what could happen. Anything can happen at a wedding, so you want to make sure you're taking time and you want to make sure you put all the effort forth and in that way you don't have any mistakes or any mishaps. It's like double insurance almost. So we introduced ourselves to the DJ, made sure we build a rapport with him as well in order to make sure that it was okay to plug into his speakers and also made a good connection. Then we had Dan go out with our second shooter and photographer and get in place. Again, we're setting these moments where we don't stage them, but we create them. First look, it's gonna be something that's gonna happen, but we're not gonna tell you what to say. We're just gonna put you in good lighting, put you in a good scene, and then press play and allow you to feel what you feel. So we had Dan set up here, and then Jamie was walking up behind him. Their mics were already rolling, and we're shooting from two different angles. So then that way we see Jamie walking up, and then we get Dan turning around and having his reaction as well, which looked amazing. You can tell he was excited. He was really pleased to see his bride early in that day, and it was a lot of like a good deep breath, like, wow, we actually made it. Even though they did their first look or their first vows earlier in the day, once you have the dress and the makeup on and the pageantry and it's like, yo, like we're legit here. I'm a bride, you're a groom, we're getting married. That's super dope. So you get a chance to actually feel it out. You know, we tell the photographer, hey, let's just let this happen. Take like 2 minutes. Look at the dress, look at the suit, compliment them. How do you look? How do you feel? Are you ready? All those different kinds of things, and let it just happen. Let it be beautiful. And now it's one-on-one time with your person. It's a good idea to make this an intimate moment with your photographer, your videographer, and just a couple. So then that way you don't have 15 other people that are all watching. You get all up in there and get a little PG-13, if you will. So it's a great time to make sure that as you're taking these pictures, you're doing a lot of moving, you're doing a lot of walking, you're doing a lot of swaying, you're doing a lot of slow dancing. All this stuff is gonna look really, really cool. This is the moment when you get to get into all your intimate shots. Fellas, you get to pick your lady up, you get to do the kissing, you get to run into the sunset. Don't be afraid to run into the sunset. I tell all my couples all the time, ladies, wear the dress. Don't let the dress wear you out. One of the shots that I love to get is the veil shot, when we get to put the couple under the veil, or we get to show some distance, some depth by holding the veil next to the lens. It always comes out amazing, comes out great. Picking your wife up and kissing her, ladies, make sure you laugh up, so then that way you're getting the most flattering shot. And then maybe running off into the sunset. Those are all things that you can do in that moment without everyone else around. So now we've gotten to the main event, or as I like to call, halftime. Ceremony is like right in the middle between bride prep, you get the ceremony, and then you get to reception. But the ceremony is the most important part. It's the thing that everyone came to see, and it's the coveted moment where you're getting ready to walk down the aisle. Again, we make sure audio is rolling, we make sure it's recorded, we have our redundancies in place, and then we get into our motion. We wanna make sure that we get everyone coming down the aisle. We wanna make sure we get the vow exchange, and we wanna make sure we get the kiss. You can't miss the kiss and the announcement. It's amazing. It's what everyone came to see, and a coveted moment. This wedding was really cool because it took place on a dock, and the waves, they were waving, and we were holding on for dear life. But it worked out great, and we still stuck to the plan of what we normally do. We always make sure that there's one camera that's at the front, capturing the bride as she comes down, and then my second shooter always has his focus on the groom. So if he cries, and we call this the cry cam, guys, you should cry. If you don't know how to cry, figure it out. You gotta get it together. You wanna make sure that we capture the tears, and we wanna make sure we capture the audience's reaction as well. Things that we focus on for sure, we wanna make sure we get the vow exchange, the ring exchange, and we wanna make sure we get the coveted kiss and announcement.
I pronounce you married.
Can we?
Now you can go.
Okay.
Also, one thing that works out really, really well in some scenarios, it didn't work out for this because we were on a dock. But as a couple's coming out, we try to make sure we get 3 kisses. One at the announcement, I now pronounce you husband and wife, you may kiss the bride, that's 1. You can do a second one there, so then that way the photographer gets it as well. And then as you're coming out and as you're exiting and you have all of your family and friends behind you, maybe about midway down the aisle, it's a good idea to go ahead and plant that 3rd kiss. If you've been practicing a dip at home, go ahead and dip the chip. Go ahead and dip. You can do that there, but only if you practice. If you have not practiced a dip, please don't improvise. It is not a good idea. Your bridal party is your supporting cast. They're there to support you on your actual wedding day, but they're also there in order to create the ambience of your friends and family supporting you in your film and in your photos. So one of the shots that I always try to get, or I encourage, if the groom is willing, is a good old-fashioned groom toss. You get to throw the groom up in the air. We even had a bride that did it as well, which came out great. Looked really cool. But it shows a lot of joy, shows a lot of fun, and then it really depends on if you trust your guys to catch you. I can't catch you because I'm holding a camera, just being honest. I like doing a lot of these shots because it's an opportunity to make art. You know, a lot of times you get to make the focus point being, you know, the support and everyone coming up behind you, squeezing you. Our photographer, she coined the phrase, the cuddle puddle, if you will, or, you know, hey, the groom's been running up and pushing you and shoving you, just showing the guys being guys. But most of all, what we try to show in these shots is you got family, you got a tribe of people that are behind you and supporting you on your special day and beyond. It's time for the reception. This is the part where everyone gets undignified. You can have all the drinks that you want. Sometimes we tell the bridal party, hey, don't drink anything at all until this moment, because we still have to manage your personality, and it can be taxing sometimes. But this is it. This is your time to shine. It's reception time. This is the party part, right? So there's some things that we do before that. We make sure we have good lighting, because everyone's gonna be partying. So we wanna make sure that we see all your guests. We wanna make sure that you got the center light for your dance floor. So then that way, if you got sparklers, if you wanna dance on clouds, if you wanna do any of that stuff, we wanna make sure we see it and it looks good. The DJ's already set up with audio. We have our recorders on. We may have taken your mics off at this point in time because, hey, we're on the exit path at this point, okay? So we wanna make sure we don't interrupt you after we get through the pleasantries of your reception. Speaking of that, let's go through a brief itinerary of what can be an ideal situation for your reception. You want to make sure that you take care of all of the heavy lifting stuff early, so then that way you don't turn into crowd management and disrupt the flow of your guests during this time. So you're going to have your introductions, right? You're going to introduce the bridal party, your parents, all that kind of stuff. And then you're going to get introduced and everyone's going to stand to their feet. They're going to clap their hands. They're going to celebrate, just like Jamie and Dan are doing right here, which they had a great crowd. You got to make sure you invite party people to your reception if you want to make sure you got good footage. You don't want to invite the plain Janes and the boring Bradys to come over that are going to sit down and not celebrate. It's a party. After you're introduced, the DJ is going to transition you right into your first dance, and it's going to be beautiful. Everyone's going to zone in, and you guys are going to be the focal point of the evening. And it's a beautiful moment. You get to have a conversation with your wife, you get to have a conversation with your husband. Don't be afraid to do some kissing and all that kind of stuff. What we're going to do from a videography point of view, we will make sure we get both of your faces, make sure we get some wide shots, some close-up shots, and then we're going to fade off into the crowd and allow you to have that moment, because we don't want to overly saturate what's going on. We want to make sure it's still special for you and not just something that we're filming. After that, you're going to go right into your parents' dances, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make sure we get mom and dad's face, so then that way they're featured in your film, because those are key points that we want to make sure we hit in your film. It's on our shot list. So after you guys have done all of your first dances with your couple as well as with your parents, we transition you guys over to your seats, and then we go into your toast and speeches. Part of the reason that we've held the alcohol for most of the evening is particularly for this moment, because the people that are going to be speaking, we want to make sure that we're able to include that audio and what they say in your film and make sure they are coherent and they're able to recognize what they're saying and actually spill their true, honest emotions and make sure it's legible and something that you're going to enjoy. We also talk to those folks ahead of time, so then that way they know where they need to stand, so then that way they're in good light as well. We also make sure we communicate that to the DJ, so then that way we're all operating on the same page, and we can make sure, one, it's going to sound good, it's going to look good, and most of all, it's going to feel good. So after everyone has filled you up with words of affirmation and everything like that, we want to make sure that you get an opportunity to eat. It's important throughout your wedding day to hydrate, but at this time, you need to take a seat, get off your feet, get something to eat. In an ideal situation for favorable results, we recommend that you feed your photographer and your videographer first when the bride and groom are eating. That way we make sure that we're not gonna miss anything special that happens at your reception. Many times we've had certain venues say, hey, we're gonna feed those vendors last. And what happens is we actually don't get to eat. And we actually miss some special things or gift presentations or things that may come from the DJ because we were eating or we were away from the dance floor. So we always try to recommend to our couples, if it's possible, to communicate to your venue staff, to your coordinators, hey, our team needs to eat when we eat with the bridal party. Again, we're part of your bridal party. It's just, we have nice cameras. Weddings are one of the few opportunities that you get to have all of your family and friends together in one room. And we know that's special. Jamie and Dan, they didn't request this, but I do want to point out, it's a great opportunity to get photos and videos with all those folks. And you may ask your photographer, hey, go to every table and get a shot. But we don't want to take pictures and videos when people are eating. They're not flattering. No one wants to see Aunt Sally with a fork full of pasta salad. It doesn't look good. But Something that is cool, once everyone's finished their eating, we have this thing that we do at Philly Wedding Films called the Ballroom Blitz. Feel free to take this tidbit, pass it on, or hey, post it on TikTok. Make sure you add us though. Tell the DJ to play one of your favorite songs. And in the course of that one song, you and your person need to run around the entire room, table to table, taking pictures. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna see that momentum rise and rise and rise, because the next table is gonna one up the previous table that just took a picture with you. And once you have all that energy up, the DJ can transition everyone over to the dance floor and you can start your dance set. FYI, it's very important. When you get on the dance floor, make sure your person is right by your side. Don't split off. Don't go have side conversations, because there's a limited amount of time when everybody's on the dance floor, and it's ideal that we get a shot of you and your person dancing together, having a good time, and celebrating your brand new union that you just had that day. If you guys want to swag surf, if you want to do the shuffle, if you want to do an electric slide for some of our couples, do that with your person right next to you, and I promise you 10 out of 10 is going to give you some of the best shots of the night. Also, ladies, if you want to get intimate, you want to kiss your person, do that. Touch his face, touch his beard, get all up in his business, because it's going to look great and it's going to show some of the best memories that you're going to cherish for years and years to come. Once you have the party going and everyone's having a great time, usually what comes after this is usually a garter removal. And ladies, I've heard your heart. Maybe you don't want to have a garter removed. Something else that we've seen in the course of this year that's been great. One of our couples said, hey, we're gonna do a t-shirt toss, and they stuffed a little Amazon gift card in there. That way you don't have to take off the garter, but you still have something to throw for the fellas. Or you can do the bouquet toss as well, but again, caution, because we've seen a lot of bouquet toss turn into what turns into a Eagles versus Cowboys game. After you've done your bouquet toss, your t-shirt toss, garter toss, whatever you want to toss, it's a good idea to go ahead and transition into, before desserts roll out, your cake cut. Once you cut your cake, there's really not too much more that we're gonna need to capture in your film unless you're doing a sparkler exit. That's why we try to make sure that you and your person are together on the dance floor. So then that way you're significantly featured in your film, having a good time and celebrating together. I always encourage our couples to remember, it's one night that lives on forever. So make sure you guys are doing it side by side to becoming one. Before the end of the night, Jamie and Dan actually had perfect timing because they got to take advantage of golden hour. Golden hour is that peak time when the sun's about to set and you get all that really, really dope buttery footage. We were right on the dock. The sun was going down right over the dock, and we got to actually walk outside and get the highlight shot that was featured in the highlight trailer, as well as a social media edit, which looked amazing. We got to see them walking towards each other in slow-mo. Looked really, really cool. One of my favorite shots of the year. So always take advantage. If you can plan for golden hour, make sure you take full advantage of golden hour. Big shout out to Jamie and Dan for allowing us into their wedding day to shoot this behind the scenes, and also shout out to Raph for filming it as well. Appreciate you, Raph. It was a great ride. All the music that you've seen in this video, it comes from our wedding sponsor, Music Bed. It's not the cheap violin stuff. We make sure we put dope music that represents each and every couple and their unique personalities and styles from all different kinds of genres. We put that in the videos as well. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, do all the things. I'm Sean from Philly Wedding Film. Peace.
So I wanted to go back a little bit and talk a story about how Jamie came into our lives. We get this notice in the mail. It's from the state of Maryland. They ain't got a speeding ticket going into Lake Washington. I'm like, okay, he forgot that car's in my name, right? So nice, right? So didn't say a word, right? Just it was like being quiet about it. So I noticed Easy Pass starts getting replenished regularly, right? I'm like, this must be somebody special, right? But I didn't say a word, did I, Dan? So Jamie comes into the house, and I'm sure you were nervous like, oh, who's this guy? He's gonna have a great. But you were just yourself, and it was great. And I knew that at that point, this was going to be somebody special.
Jamie and Dan, today's the day you always remember as the exciting and wonderful, real beginning of your new life together. You're starting off the day as two individuals in love. And at the conclusion of the ceremony, you'll be joined together as husband and wife, one couple, one family.
James, you're my support team. You're the source of my laughter. You're the Jalen Hurts to my AJ Brown. The bacon in my egg and cheese sandwich. My honey lemon pancakes from Zake's. I vow to always get your coffee order right, to love you unconditionally, be your person, always and forever.
Growing up, everyone told me that I was a lot to handle. And I've been told that the person who chooses to be with me forever has to be a very, very special and patient person. And with you, I found just that. For the rest of our lives, I promise to be the best passenger princess anyone could ever be for all of our drives to the shore and wherever else. No matter how many pits and peaks get thrown at us, you're still going to be the one that I want to go home to sleep next to, whether you're snoring or not. You're the one I want to have babies with and the one that I want to do life with. You're my forever peak, and I can't wait to keep doing life with you.
It is my honor to introduce, for the first time as husband and wife, Jamie and Dan, and pronounce you married.
Can we?
Now you can go.
Okay.
Trying my best, didn't know what I wanted. Never looked up, never was enough. Wishing I could be something. Thunder and rain, losing my way, only made me so higher. Taking my shot, all that I got, setting my soul on fire. There's only one thing I know, the best is yet to come. Are you ready or not? Ready or not? Are you ready or not? The best is yet to come. Are you ready or not? Ready or not? Are you ready or not? Wake up now. Wake up. We can get this started. We can get this started. Wake up now. Wake up. We can get this started. We can get this started. Wake up now. Wake up. We can get this started. We can get this started. There's only one thing I know. There's only one place to go. The best is yet to come.